On a cold January evening in 2013, 15-year-old Leah Anderson left her aunt's house in God's Lake Narrows, Manitoba, to go ice skating. She never came home. 2 days later, her body was found in a remote snowmobile trail, brutally beaten and abandoned. As her family and community searched for answers, a haunting question remained. Who killed Leah, and why? This is the tragic story of Leah Anderson and the ongoing fight for justice. Leah Anderson was born in Thompson, Manitoba, to Gilbert Duke and Sally Anderson. Growing up alongside her two sisters and brother, Leah's early life was shaped by family and community, yet marred by tragedy. When Leah was just 6 years old, her father, Gilbert, was tragically murdered. This devastating loss left Leah and her siblings emotionally shattered, a blow that would affect their family for years to come. The emotional toll of her husband's death overwhelmed Sally, Leah's mother, who struggled with addiction in the aftermath. As a result, Leah and her siblings were placed in the foster care system. Though her early years were filled with hardship, Leah's resilience shone through. Despite the tumultuous circumstances, she managed to maintain a positive spirit and a bright outlook on life. In 2005, Leah and her siblings were taken in by their maternal aunt, Myra Anderson, and her husband, Wayne. The couple welcomed the children into their home and moved to God's Lake Narrows, a remote Cree community in northern Manitoba, known for its isolation. The community was only accessible via ice road or by air during the harsh winter months, offering the children a chance to experience life away from the turmoil that had followed them in their early years. In God's Lake Narrows, Leah began to rebuild her life, finding stability in her aunt and uncle's care. Her story of overcoming the odds to create a new life for herself would be the foundation of her young, vibrant spirit, despite the shadow of the hardships she had endured. Leah was determined to make the best of her circumstances, carrying with her the memory of her father and the love of her siblings. Leah's new life in God's Lake Narrows brought both challenges and opportunities. This remote Cree community, isolated from the rest of Manitoba and only accessible by air or ice road during winter, became the place where Leah would grow into her teenage years. Despite the isolation, God's Lake Narrows offered Leah a sense of belonging and community that she had not experienced before. It was here that she began to truly embrace her Cree heritage, something she was immensely proud of. Leah's artistic talents flourished in this supportive environment. She was known for her vibrant personality, enjoying activities such as dancing, singing, and ice skating. Her passion for the arts led her to set her sights on studying art at the University of Winnipeg, a dream that fueled her ambition. Leah's positive spirit and resilience shone through in everything she did. Her love for her culture and her commitment to her community made her a beloved figure in God's Lake Narrows. Her Aunt Myra, who had taken on the role of caretaker, often spoke of Leah's selflessness. Despite the personal struggles Leah had endured in her early years, she always put others before herself. This caring nature led to her involvement in local activities, and she was even selected as the youth chief, an honor that reflected her strong leadership qualities. Leah's role in the community was not just about her talents, but also about her ability to inspire those around her. Leah's resilience, artistic talents, and unwavering commitment to her community defined her life in God's Lake Narrows. Despite her difficult past, Leah emerged as a vibrant and hopeful young woman, determined to pursue her dreams and make a positive impact. Leah's final weekend in God's Lake Narrows was meant to be a time of transition, as she prepared to return to school in Cranberry Portage, Manitoba. On the evening of January 4, 2013, Leah left her aunt and uncle's home to go ice skating at the local rink. She had initially planned to meet some friends, but they canceled at the last minute. Despite this change, Leah decided to go skating alone. Her Aunt Myra reminded her to return by curfew, and Leah acknowledged this request before leaving the house. As Leah skated alone that evening, she was unaware that this would be her final time doing so. After she left, one of her school friends arrived at the Anderson home looking for Leah. The friend waited at the rink, but Leah never showed up. This was the first sign that something was wrong. By the time Leah's curfew passed and she didn't return, her family began to grow concerned. However, they initially thought Leah had simply decided to stay over at a friend's house. The following morning, when Leah still hadn't returned and had not contacted anyone to explain her absence, her aunt and uncle became increasingly worried. It was highly unusual for Leah not to have reached out. The entire family, along with members of the community, began to search for Leah despite the treacherous snow and freezing conditions. Little did they know that Leah had already vanished, her fate sealed in the remote, icy wilderness. 2 days after Leah went missing, on the morning of January 6, 2013, her body was discovered by a snowmobile trail on the reserve. Initially, it was believed that Leah had been attacked by wild animals due to the state of her body. The discovery, made by local residents, was chilling. Leah's body was badly disfigured, with some suggesting that wild dogs or wolves had been responsible for the injuries. However, the autopsy results revealed a far more disturbing truth. The medical examiner confirmed that Leah had not been mauled by animals, but instead had been brutally beaten. Defensive wounds were found on her body, indicating that she had fought for her life against her attacker. This discovery shifted the case from a presumed animal attack to a full-scale homicide investigation. Leah was found with her personal belongings nearby, including her bag and skates, which were later identified by her sister. These items, found after the snow had thawed, confirmed that Leah had been at the scene. The condition of the body and the presence of defensive wounds pointed to a violent, deliberate attack. The initial shock of Leah's death was compounded by the nature of the crime. A small, tight-knit community was left grappling with the brutal reality of the violence that had occurred. This section will explore the discovery of Leah's body, the transition from animal attack to homicide, and the shockwaves that ran through the community and her family. Following the discovery of Leah's body, the RCMP initiated a thorough investigation into her death. The forensic examination uncovered crucial details that would shape the direction of the case. The toxicology report revealed that Leah had no drugs or alcohol in her system, eliminating the possibility of intoxication contributing to the crime. More alarmingly, forensic testing found unidentified male DNA on Leah's clothing and remains, raising the possibility of a personal connection between the victim and her killer. The estimated time of death placed Leah's murder sometime before 10 p.m. on January 4th, the night she went missing. This information suggested that Leah's attacker had killed her shortly after she left her aunt's home and then disposed of her body in the remote snowmobile trail afterward. The location of the body was particularly important, as the ice roads to God's Lake Narrows had been closed, leaving the perpetrator with limited options for leaving the area undetected. Despite these findings, the RCMP struggled to make progress in identifying a suspect. DNA samples were collected from the residents of God's Lake Narrows, most of whom cooperated and voluntarily provided their samples. However, no matches were found, and the investigation appeared to stall. The case shifted from one of hope to frustration, as the authorities found themselves no closer to identifying Leah's killer. After Leah's body was found, rumors quickly spread throughout the community of God's Lake Narrows about her final hours. Some claimed Leah had attended a house party the night she disappeared, though the host of the party denied her presence. Leah's boyfriend, Max Chubb, was also mentioned in the rumors, as it was alleged he had gone to the party looking for Leah, but was turned away because it was an all-girls event. Despite being questioned by police, Max passed a lie detector test, and no evidence connected him to Leah's death. A more sinister rumor emerged about Max's brother, Stephen. It was claimed that Stephen had once told someone he had killed someone, though he did not identify who. On the morning after Leah's disappearance, Stephen sent Leah a message on Facebook that read, "I hope you didn't tell on us or something," despite their secret relationship having ended months before. This raised suspicion, and Stephen's message fueled further speculation. RCMP officers questioned Stephen multiple times and even administered 2 lie detector tests, which he passed. In 2019, his DNA was collected and was scheduled to be compared with the male DNA found on Leah's remains. However, no updates regarding the results have been made public. Despite his cooperation, Stephen's connection to the case continued to stir suspicion, leaving the community divided on whether he was involved in Leah's death. The RCMP's investigation into Leah's murder faced numerous obstacles from the very start. Initially, there was a belief that the case would be solved quickly due to the assumption that the killer was local. The ice roads leading into God's Lake Narrows were closed at the time of Leah's disappearance, which left the community isolated and made it unlikely that an outsider could have committed the crime without being noticed. Despite this, the investigation struggled to make progress. The RCMP collected DNA samples from many residents, most of whom voluntarily complied. However, none of the samples matched the unidentified male DNA found on Leah's clothing. As days turned into weeks, the investigation faltered. The RCMP's presence in God's Lake Narrows lasted only a few days, and by the time they left, there were no new leads. The lack of progress frustrated Leah's family, who felt that the investigation had been insufficient, especially regarding the crime scene. The snow where Leah's body was found was deep, which may have hindered the RCMP's ability to search for crucial evidence. Leah's family believed that important pieces of evidence could have been missed because of the snow, and they felt the RCMP had not fully explored all possible avenues. The family also pushed for the possibility that the killer could have been an outsider, suggesting that the investigation should have extended beyond the local community. In 2017, a breakthrough seemed imminent when a 23-year-old male was arrested in connection with Leah's murder. This arrest was based on significant new information that had come to light. However, just one day after the arrest, the man was released without charge, and the investigation stalled once again. Despite this setback, the man remained a suspect, though no further developments or charges followed. Leah's family, already frustrated with the slow pace of the investigation, expressed disappointment that the arrest had not led to a resolution. The failure to charge the suspect, combined with the lack of meaningful progress in the case, left the family feeling helpless and disillusioned with the RCMP's handling of the case. The arrest, which had initially provided a glimmer of hope, turned into yet another dead end. Leah's family continued to push for answers. The ongoing silence from the authorities only deepened their frustration. While they had hoped that the 2017 arrest would bring them closer to finding Leah's killer, the lack of updates left them wondering if justice would ever be served. Leah's case remained unsolved, and the RCMP, despite years of investigation, had yet to make any significant headway.